Dream Dark Travel is a 2.1 solo insane demon level created and published by Jonathan GD and verified by Mbed. It is an XL level, lasting 6 minutes and 14 seconds and using the entire length of the song. It was the fourth travel level upon its release. This level contains an enormous quantity of objects around 200, 208,000. Some parts of the level are really hard to pass, such as the first drop of the level. There are also some calm parts, such as the halfway part and the part right after that. Low detail mode and high detail mode are available in the level. This level has an official remake called Dark Odyssey. Warning: this level contains intense flashes and bright lights. If you have epilepsy or any other eye conditions, watching a video of this level is strictly advised against. At 0 to 2%, the level starts with an auto section where the player is invited to use low detail mode as well as high low detail mode. The author's nickname, the name of the music and level, as well as the text "Enjoy" is displayed. During this part, the player does not have to click anything until the next part comes up. At 2 to 8%, there are cube, ball, and robot sections with realistic Earth scenery. The part is relatively simple, but there are poorly visible obstacles. In the end, an orb appears that says "Disable glitch effect" for a while. The screen flashes in different colors and glitches. At 10 to 16%, the player transitions into a rather difficult robot and cube section in the theme of a castle. Here, the player needs to dodge the fireballs shot by monsters. Towards the end, the character speeds up. It is worth noting a very difficult timing as a robot at 12%. At 6 to 25%, a very fast rocket ship and wave section and technical scenery begins. Here, the collision trigger is actively used. Some blocks can be pushed by the players so they hit the buttons and open the doors. In the rocket ship section, there are strange cubes that follow the player along with the Y-axis and kill when touched. The player must try to get around them. In the wave section is where the player needs to collect one of the skulls in 3 columns each so that the doors open. The arrows indicate which keys to collect. Interestingly, a set of keys is generated each time the player restarts the level, so the player needs to quickly remember the sequence. At 25 to 28%, the player then goes into a robot, rocket ship, and wave section in dark technical scenery. There are several difficult timings in the robot and tight spaces in the rocket ship. At 28 to 32%, the player then enters a fast-paced spider segment containing wooden scenery, where it is necessary to do a lot of accurate timings. The background here is very similar to Minecraft. At 32 to 36%, the player goes into a fast UFO section with blue scenery. This section is one of the toughest in the level due to very crucial timings and fast speed. At 36 to 37%, a short, slowed down auto cube section, after which there is another glitch effect as at 9%. At 37 to 44%, the player then transitions into a very simple hell-themed cube, rocket ship, and wave section. In the cube section, a purple sphere is attached to the player, which allows the player to make a double jump, not useful due to the very low ceiling, as well as make a short or long jump. This will come in handy at one point. In other sections, the floor and ceiling move, and the player must try to get either between them or onto obstacles. At 44 to 48%, a simple cube section with some stone scenery. Here, there are no timings and almost nothing that requires memorization. At the end is the inscription halfway. At 48 to 54%, the player stays a cube and enters a section with bright, sunny scenery. The player must jump on platforms and through spikes with jump pads and hazards. This is a warm-up before the most difficult part in the level. At 54 to 63%, here, unpleasant transitions begin. The style is color and all game modes appear. In these sections, there are a lot of tricky timings, which is only worsened by the player being in duel mode, although this is symmetrical. It is worth noting an unexpected mini-wave, 62%, as well as a hard UFO segment, 58%. At 63 to 69%, there is now a cube, wave, robot, and rocket ship section in space scenery. Closer to the end, they are sped up, which makes them rather complicated. At 70%, a very short cube section in the terrestrial scenery begins. Timings are large and in numbers here. At 70 to 73%, no less short, fast spider section begins in the scenery of a castle. It is very difficult due to barely noticeable platforms. At 73 to 75%, the player then enters a mini-cube section with almost no decoration before a very tough part. At 75 to 84%, a very fast-paced robot, UFO, and rocket ship section begins, with a rainbow theme, and then sunset scenery. The UFOs in complexity are similar to those at 32 to 36%, and the spaces here are very tight. At 84 to 90%, simple, slow cube, ball, and UFO sections in stone scenery begins, but they can also kill a relaxed player. In the background, there is a really realistic rain. At 90 to 100%, there are the cube and robot section with almost no decoration. There are still timings, especially triple spikes in the mini robot section. Upon death, the screen will be filled with the text saying, LOL. The level ends with thanks from the author and text saying, GG and the end. There are 3 collectible user coins in this level. The first coin is at 16%. If the player wants to get it, they must firstly release the dash orb at 8% and hit a button and hit a button at the bottom of the screen. Then they need to jump on the slope at 13% to collect a skull hiding on the next slope. Once they have done these steps, they can collect the coin at the pre-drop. The second coin is at 45%. In order to get it, the player must collect 2 keys. The first one is at 26%, where the player has to fly above the platform before the robot portal. The second key is at 36%. The player needs to jump precisely once entering the cube section. At 45%, the player can jump over the red pad and drop down to an unlocked area and collect the coin. The third and final coin is located at 95%. If the player wants to get it, they must firstly jump onto the edge of the spike at 55% to collect the first key and collect the second key in the block at 70% by clicking the yellow sphere early. Then they have to collect all 15 mini coins during 79 to 84% to unlock a skull at 84%. Afterwards, the player must press the invisible yellow sphere at 94% before jumping over the robot platform so the player can get the coin. This level's password is 963041. This level contains 208,326 objects. This level is 6 minutes and 14 seconds long. The level stays at a consistently challenging difficulty, combining the use of every game mode. This level was a medium demon for a short time before being changed to a hard demon for a few years, and then again changed to an insane demon later on. It is not recommended to play this level on mobile/low-end PCs, as it might cause the game to crash. This was formerly the hardest level in the game until it was beaten by Ancient Travel, which is rated Extreme Demon. Some players also consider Dream Travel to be more difficult, though this is a subject of debate. It uses the song Dark Matter Suite, Onefinity plus Lord Shetty remix, which is featured in the official remake Dark Odyssey Innards and another upcoming travel level, Nox Travel. This level is for Vibrant's 8th creator contest, where it won 3rd place in the unknown category. This level was in Eric Van Wilderman's 12 Demons of Christmas of 2018. This level was in Eric Van Wilderman's 12 Demons of Christmas 2018 series as Demon number 11.